IF29 met my boyfriend Michael M35 at a show I performed in. I am a theater person as a hobby, and he complimented my performance and bought me a drink. We have been together now for a little over a year. His sister got married last week and I was initially pleased to ask to be a bridesmaid but also a bit surprised as she barely knows me, but I thought this was an attempt to have an excuse to also get to know each other better. Michael and I got into an argument the week before because he said that he wanted to entertain the thought of spicing up our sex life and having a threesome. He said since I was bi, why not? I didn't like the idea too much and said so, and it devolved into a petty cold war and he started to ignore my messages after he left my place. He didn't reply to me at all until the day before the wedding asking what time he needed to pick me up since we can't go straight otherwise people will gossip about us. He barely said anything to me the whole time we traveled to the venue. The wedding was fine, but at the reception he got me a plate and leaned in to kiss me but I shied away and he got up to mingle. I started feeling ill not too long after a 911 wad called. I realized I was having an allergic reaction but had my pen but still had to be carted off by the ambulance, and that's when someone was looking for Michael said that he had left with some of the other groomsmen to a bar nearby. I called 6 times and texted that it was an emergency as I was getting checked put by the paramedics and again when they strongly suggested I go to the hospital, but he never replied. I was released to the hospital and called him to ask him to pick me up, but he didn't pick up, so I woke up my best friend and she took me home and stayed with me overnight to make sure I was okay. The next morning Michael called me but I was still asleep, so he left me a lengthy voicemail yelling at me that I ruined his sister's wedding and that I always have to make things about me. He came over to further berate me and told me he should just break up with me at this point as I am dramatic and this is all too much, so I pointed out that he had gotten my plate, knew full well that I have an allergy to coconut, and that his sister had told me afterwards that he knew that the cake he gave me was the coconut cream cake as all the food had signs saying what it was and what the ingredients were, as I am not the only person with allergies that attended. He left telling me that he can't talk to me when I am this way. I was honestly exhausted, so I didn't bother going after him. But his father called me to ask how I was doing, and after I answered he then told me how I am hurting Michael's heart by blaming him, and Michael has been inconsolable since we fought. I texted Michael to ask if we could talk, but the conversation went back around somehow to the threesome and how I don't respect him even in intimate settings or want to hear him out regarding his needs and make things about me. I am so confused because to me this feels manipulative, but I respect his father so much. I go to their church and he is a pastor there, so to have him tell me I am in the wrong through me. Ada? Edit. A lot of comments are suggesting that this was intentional, and I have actually never considered he gave me something I am allergic on purpose, and certainly not to use against me to leverage in our argument. But I think I may have to come clean and talk to his parents. I know them well, so hopefully it won't go too badly. Small update. Michael texted me this morning to apologize. He said the wedding was stressing him out and he had a lot on his mind, so he accidentally handed me the plate he meant for himself, not the one for me. He said he didn't know I was in the hospital and feels bad he wasn't there for me, but he left the reception with some of the groomsmen to blow off much needed steam. I don't know how I feel about it all, so I just replied okay. He is now asking to come over and talk this out in person. Second edit. For any and all of you calling me stupid or implying I am a child and why am I still with this guy etc., just know, you remind me a lot of him and how he used to put me down and bully me, and it's a real wonder of mine if you treat people in your life like he did me. I suspect you do. Glad to be rid of him and indifferent about you. Relevant comments where Op has replied. Oh, she aims to misbehave. Op, be honest, have you, now that you are looking back, seen red flags like this? This behavior likely didn't just show up. Have you ever gotten ill after a disagreement with him? Oop. Oddly enough, I am sitting with my BFF and she asked me the same question, and yes, actually. Our first real argument that I can remember, I was down with a stomach bug for almost a week and he visited me and made soup. Then the only big argument I can recall outside this one, he wanted to use labels really soon onto us going on some dates and I didn't, and the next morning, I was sick with chest pains and stomach cramps. I don't want to sound dramatic or accusatory, but since people have commented he might have purposefully given me something I am allergic to, I just don't know anymore. Hilda. Risk. Big 3301. NTA, the two of you are completely incompatible. He wants threesomes, you want to attend wedding receptions without leaving in an ambulance. Oop. Okay, when I read this I was with Bestie and we've been drinking and the scream I scrumpted laughing so hard nearly killed me more effectively than the coconut lamau. Update 1, June 1st 2024. Well, many of you were right, I should not have met him in person, but I did. He took me out to lunch insisting he pay for it all and it was incredibly over the top. He had flowers and a written letter of apology, but as some of you messaged me as apologies dodged the point by way of if I hurt you or that you're feeling X or Y feeling etc. He quoted some scriptures and said he has repented as his carelessness caused me harm. I wasn't much moved by any of it until he said how much his family loves me and how much our church roots for us as a couple, and I kinda sat back and realized that one flimsy reason I was even entertaining forgiving him and staying was because of the pressure I dealt with as the GF of a pastor's son. It occurred to me that there were so many times I let things slide because he is the heir apparent, so he had the power in the social aspect of our community. Sorry, I know I am rambling, but I'm emotional and tipsy. I remembering just staring at him and saying it was incredibly alarming that by now he can't be aware of my oingle allergy and that he didn't bother to tell his own GF he was stepping out with the guys or even that he was stepping out of his own sister's wedding at all. He then said it was really actually kind of stupid of me to eat a cake that had coconut and implied I am an idiot for not realizing what I had was coconut. I realized then he would never accept that he was in the wrong and thus there was no point. I stood up and smiled and said, you know what, don't worry about it. Thanks for dinner. Good night. To which he replied that if I wasn't going to grow up and accept his apology I am a waste of his time. He uses that a lot whenever we disagree and it usually hurts me deeply, but this time it was like a Rolodex of memories flooded my brain and I really suspect he's been deliberately making me sick whenever we disagree to teach me a lesson. I said I was done and he needn't waste his time with me from this point on and left. I then sent screenshots to his father explaining the situation as best I can without blaming Michael for prior illnesses without proof, and I got a text about 20 minutes ago from his father. His father is incredibly disappointed in my immaturity and hurt that I wouldn't even give it until Sunday at church where we can pray together, talk it and heal. I felt this way for a while, but I was able to say at this time that using religion as a took of guilt is low and I am no longer concerned with his version of God, as that version is a judgmental, cruel, and heartless jerk, while the one I always thought of was loving, compassionate, and kind, and I am done. I was told by him and by further emails rolling in that I am no longer welcome at my church until I reconcile with my true husband and learn compassion and respect for my leaders. So I guess that's it. I will enjoy sleeping in tomorrow and eating coconut-free food, while lazing about my home rather than going to 3 separate church services starting at 8 a.m. and then figure it all out from there. I don't know how to sign off, but I do watch a concerning amount of Charlotte Dobra videos and she usually ends things with practical shit like do your laundry or something, so I will just say, live for yourself, feed your soul, and know you are enough. I certainly am going to put in the work to get there and I hope we all make it to the other side contented, and filled with love and joy. And by the way, F you Michael. I know you are reading this. I know you know it's me. And I hope your socks are always just a little soggy. Relevant comments where Op has replied. Still _actuator 8316. Holy crap. And you stayed with him. You poor girl. No one deserves someone like that in their life. But you didn't say if you told his dad about him sending you to the hospital and potentially killing you. Because we both know and the rest of Reddit knows that he did that intentionally. And if there was proof of him giving you that cake, you could probably send his happy ass to jail. Oop. I didn't and don't have the best self-esteem. And here is the only black woman in the town that I've known of. I've always known that I am considered less desirable, not saying that's right, but just knowing where I live. Been here since my preteen years. When Michael asked me out it was like a parade. Everyone acted like it was a Cinderella story and I won a lottery or something. I have a friend who been texting today and she is letting me know how dumb I've been. I never told her of our issues, and is about ready to commit crimes lol. I think I lost myself for a bit, but I wanted to leave the church low-key for a while because of my treatment, so that helps a bit. Update 2. August 3, 2024. It has been a hot minute. I forgot about my posts until I was watching a YouTube video on Reddit stories and the story reminded me that I never did update. I found a church in my city a bit more laid back, like we can go to the pub after and have a laugh laid back. I did like it and made amazing friends I am still in touch with, but the going to church idea came from my therapist and it was to see if I do identify with the church or the ideals of it, and I don't. So now I am back to being the heathen I am lol. My ex quickly moved on and he had a new GF within a month of us breaking us. Bless that woman, I thought, because isn't she in for a ride? Oddly enough she reached out to me on my Facebook and I was curious and opened it. She started with who she is, how long she and ex have been dating and how long they knew each other, childhood friends, so basically forever. She then said that she feels convicted by the Holy Ghost to seek a resolution between me and ex and she is worried I may be his true wife. And if I cannot forgive then I am proving I am not, and to let her know as she cannot marry him until I make this clear. I shit you not. Seeing the screenshots, the chat with my new church buddies, my friends sent vomiting emojis and that this is a cult and not a faith. I concluded they were right and replied with, yeah, marry him if that's what you want. And nothing more. I am getting messages from members of the church but I don't much care. I've loved my life since leaving. I didn't know life could be so enjoyed really, and it makes me wonder how much damage the church had on me, but for now just for fun, I'm going to an appointment with a friend of a friend's apprentice on tarot readings lol. No, that's true. I was asked. No offense to anyone who believes in it, it's just not normally my thing, so I am curious and interested. Maybe it will be good. I will, you know. Update 3, new update, Sept 6, 2024. This is really hard to explain. So after my last post, he stayed away for all of a hot second. He kept dropping off gifts and food, fucking food, of all things, at my door. I've ignored them and thrown them out at the end of each week like all trash. He then waited out front for me, so when I came out to take the trash out he was sitting right there. I didn't even see him. I was tired and just trying to get chores done. He blocked me from my door and went on a speech about how I am his true wife and that he cannot marry his GF without my permission. I can't keep track of the mental and theological gymnastics he took, but he basically asked me for a threesome with his current GF to see if we can work out who his true wife is. I bluffed and said that my necklace has a panic button on it and the cops are alerted of him being there and to go. He sort of stared at me, but it was blank, like he wasn't even human. He went on to say stuff about thinking about me every night before bed and more. I started to gauge just how fast I am compared to him and how quick I would need to run to even wake a neighbor, which one of them would be the quicker to responsive, and on and on. I just kept saying no and that the cops would be there and thank the universe for a random siren. I don't know if that's what convinced him, but he did leave and he was sort of chuckling and said that I've always been so playful and called my behavior an act. It took me less than 30 minutes to pack a bag and head to a friend's. I sat in her tub for what felt like a day. It wasn't. When I finally got out, she and I sat down and started making a plan to start moving my things out bit by bit until it's just down to the furniture. I don't give a flying fuck about the furniture. So we implemented the plan. She would drop in, her dad would, her mom would, I would with her brother, and slowly over this time we took everything I really cared to keep from my home. I'm safe and away from there and just ready to wash my hands of the place. He has texted me a few times assuring me of this plan to pick his wife. So I finally cracked and sent his messages to his parents last week. It's been silent since then until this past Wednesday. There's a bar I like where they have wine Wednesdays and I went to just relax until I felt a tap on my shoulder. He's there with what looks like a group, and he starts smiling and says we need to talk. I loudly tell him to leave me alone, but he just drops to his knees and asks me to marry him. Some people start to clap. A regular who knows me is now at my back leaning in to ask if I'm okay. I jerk back and tell him to leave. Me. Alone. The regular offered to pay my tab so I can leave and he walked me to my car. Now it's been this game of getting footage, dealing with the police. So far, I'm told, this isn't evidence of harassment but a domestic dispute, so I don't know what to do about that. I know that I am done with where I live. But moving now feels like the hardest task in the world. I know I have to. I can't stay here. But now I'm mourning it all. It all feels too big. Next story. Golden child sister announced her pregnancy at my wedding after I said no. Now my parents are taking her side, and I'm being pushed out of family dinners. I, F30, got married last weekend, and it was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but drama unfolded, and now my family is split in half. I need to know if I'm the a-hole or if my reaction was justified. Backstory. My younger sister, F27, let's call her Lucy, has always been the golden child of the family. She's smart, beautiful, and has always been the center of attention, whether it's her birthdays, graduations, or other significant life events. I've always felt like I was living in her shadow, but I've never said anything because, well, she's my sister, and I love her. Lucy got pregnant a couple of months ago, and while I'm genuinely happy for her, I was also relieved that my wedding day could finally be about me for once. No one overshadowing me. No unexpected news. Just me, my partner, and our big day. A week before the wedding, Lucy called me, and during what I thought was a casual sisterly chat, she drops this bombshell. Wouldn't it be amazing if I announced my pregnancy during your reception? It would be such a surprise. She went on to explain that all of our family would be there, and she thought it would be such a special moment for everyone. I was stunned. I told her politely but firmly that I didn't think it was a good idea. I had spent months planning this day, and I wanted it to be about my husband and me, not a pregnancy announcement. Lucy said I was overreacting and being selfish. She said it wasn't a big deal, and that everyone would be so happy. I reiterated my stance, no announcement at my wedding. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to the reception. Everything was going beautifully. I was having the time of my life until I noticed Lucy looking a bit smug. That's when she tapped her glass for attention. My stomach dropped. In front of all our guests, she stood up and announced her pregnancy anyway. The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. I was frozen in shock. It felt like a dream. People immediately swarmed her with hugs and questions, and suddenly, my wedding was no longer about me, it was about Lucy and her baby. I was furious. My husband could see it, my bridesmaids could see it, and honestly, anyone paying attention could see I was upset. But I didn't want to cause a scene, so I left the reception early, crying in the bridal suite. My husband tried to console me, but I was heartbroken. Now, here's where things get worse. The next day, Lucy texted me saying I was being a drama queen and that everyone was happy for her. My parents are taking her side, saying I should have just let her have her moment and that I'm being immature for being upset. But a few of my cousins and friends have reached out to tell me that they thought what Lucy did was selfish and wrong. The family is now divided. Some say I'm overreacting, while others say Lucy was out of line. So, Ada for getting upset that my sister hijacked my wedding to announce her pregnancy? Update, September 5, 2024. Hey, folks. It's me again. First of all, I just want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. I never expected it to go viral, and reading your responses really gave me some clarity. I figured I owed you all an update, especially since things have really escalated since then. So, after the wedding, I took a few days to cool down. I didn't want to respond to any of the family drama immediately because, honestly, I needed some space to process everything. But Lucy and my parents kept pushing for a resolution, insisting that I should apologize for storming out of my own wedding and for making a big deal out of nothing. I held firm, though. I told them how deeply hurt I was, how Lucy had completely disregarded my feelings and my boundaries. I tried to explain that it wasn't just about the announcement, it was about years of feeling like I always came second to her. Unsurprisingly, Lucy doubled down and kept calling me dramatic and self-centered. My parents were still on her side, repeating how everyone was happy and that I should let it go. Now, here's where things got even messier. My cousins and some extended family caught wind of what was going on, thanks, social media, and the family divide has gotten even wider. One of my cousins actually called Lucy out publicly, saying what she did was attention-seeking and disrespectful. That led to a full-blown family argument in our group chat, with people picking sides. The weirdest part? Some family members who initially didn't say much are now telling me they've always seen Lucy as the golden child too, and they're glad someone finally spoke up. Of course, this didn't go over well with my parents. My mom told me I was tearing the family apart and that I needed to put an end to this nonsense. But I wasn't the one who made it public, and I can't control what other people say or think. What really shocked me, though, was how my dad reacted. He's usually the peacemaker, but he straight up told me that I ruined Lucy's big moment, her pregnancy announcement, and that I'm holding a grudge for no reason. That hurt more than I expected because I always thought he at least understood where I was coming from. On top of that, my parents invited Lucy and her husband over for dinner a few nights ago, but they didn't invite me. When I asked why, my mom said they didn't want any more drama. So now, not only am I dealing with the emotional fallout from the wedding, but I'm also feeling like I'm being pushed out of my own family. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and honestly, I don't think I can keep pretending everything's okay just for the sake of keeping peace. I love my family, but I can't keep sacrificing my feelings and self-respect just to avoid conflict. My husband has been super supportive through all of this, and he's encouraged me to set clear boundaries with both my sister and my parents. So, as hard as it is, I've decided to go low contact with Lucy and my parents for now. I'm not cutting them out completely, but I need space to heal and to figure out how, or if, I want to move forward with them. Some of my cousins have reached out to say they support me, and that's been a huge comfort during all of this. Relevant comments where Op has replied. Commenter 1, absolutely NTA. I always hate suggesting LC or NC, but to be honest it sounds like the only option in this scenario if you wish to keep your self-respect. What Lucy did was terrible, and the way your parents are taking her side is equally horrid. I would get closer to your cousins, they seem like your real family. Oop, thanks for the support. I agree, low contact seems necessary to keep my self-respect. Lucy's actions hurt, and my parents siding with her made it worse. I'll definitely focus on my cousins who've been supportive. Appreciate your advice. Commenter 2, NTA, your sister is a self-centered bitch and your parents obviously prefer her over you. Fuck all three of them, and when they're ready to take accountability then you can rekindle the relationship. Until then, ignore them and enjoy your new marriage. Commenter 3, NTA. Send her the bill for the wedding since it was her big moment.